so black water is our toilet tank. Okay, so it's a holding tank for the effluent coming from the toilet. The biggest problem that we have with any black water system actually is toilet paper. And why is that? We actually have, in the supermarket toilet papers, there's a high percentage of recycled paper and chemicals that resist breaking down. Charmin does a lovely commercial job for us when they say, you know, you see the bears, or the mother bear says to the baby bear, don't use that inferior bird brand, use the Charmin, because, you know, you don't leave the little bits and pieces. On that note, what happens is that type of paper, it basically balls up in our tank. It's fine in an urban setting where it goes and all gets screened off and burnt, but here, if it doesn't break down, again, it plugs up our tank. I've seen dams made up in this. I've seen them hang up on sensors giving us false readings. You may have just dumped the tank, but it's going to stay full all the time because it's hanging up on the sensor. So the idea is that do use the RV/marine paper. It breaks down quite readily in water. You can find it at Walmart's, Canadian Tires, any RV/marine places that carry it. It's good quality paper, and it does dissipate very readily in the presence of water. Second thing is chemical. Nobody wants the toilet to stink. More importantly, actually, we want that effluent down there to be digested. So when it does go away, it's just liquid. We have approximately 25 gallons. So what we would do is we would use one of 3 types of chemical. The first one would just be a fragrance, and forget it because you're wasting your money just to make it smell pretty. It doesn't digest anything. Second thing is an enzymatic digester. An enzyme-based digester, we have to add a certain amount of chemical to carry enough enzymes so it actually potentially will digest everything that potentially is in that tank. And again, 25 gallons. So you'll find that you typically use 8, 10, 12 ounces of chemical to account for what's down there. That's the type of thing, is because we have to have enough enzymes to digest all of the effluent. The third type, it's okay, but again, you know, once those enzymes are done, they're done, and typically they work well. However, there's a third type of which we stock currently. It's what they call a bioenzymatic. Bioenzymatic starts off with an enzyme base. Well, you have a bacterial component as well. Those bacteria actually start to create their own enzymes. So what happens, we have the enzyme base to start the digestion process, but then the bacteria kick in and produce their own enzymes, so we use far less. So it's a self-supporting process. So we use only a 1 ounce shot in that case. The particular product that we carry currently as well basically binds the odor from the ammonia, typically causing the odor in urine. There's nothing else currently on the market that actually currently does it, because a lot of people in their trailers don't use the toilet for number 2, it's only number 1. In that case, any other chemical won't do a darn thing for you because they don't address the urine. This one does. So what we do in that capacity, if you are using our product, it's from Aquatech, it's called Super Enzo. You can find it North American wide. In the toilet itself, we have basically a foot flush system. So what would happen is we were going to add that 1 ounce of chemical. We want about 3 gallons of water down in that tank to go along with it. So we would basically put the chemical in there, and in this particular situation, the toilet is actually a foot flush. So if I push down halfway, I add water. All the way dumps and flushes. So I'm going to put my 1 ounce of chemical into the toilet. Then what you can do is basically, if you have one of those blue or red cleaning buckets, like a mop bucket or something like that, it's typically 1.5 gallons. So 2 of those along with that 1 ounce shot, and you're ready to go. Okay. You then let the toilet tank fill as much as you possibly can before you dump it. 2 reasons. The first reason, basically, by giving it time to let it fill, you're giving time for the chemical to do its job. Second thing, I'm adding more water. If you think about, again, I'm going to go back to the sink, which is what we don't want to do. If I had a scoop of mashed potatoes in a bowl, and I had 1 inch of water, and then I dumped it down, or I had a full bowl of water, or 3 gallons of water, and dumped it all down, the potential for carrying any solids away with more water is better. So the idea is that always try to let it fill as much as you possibly can before you dump it. And once you've dumped it, you come back in here, put your chemical, your water, start the process all over again, and then travel down the road, and you're ready to go for the next time. Now, some people say, well, I've only been camping for a weekend and it's a third full, but I'm not going camping again for a while, so I don't want to leave it with a third full. Well, obviously, no, you probably don't. But before you dump it, if that's the case, then fill it with water. So I'm at a third full and we're ready to leave. Okay, well, stand on the toilet valve, fill the tank. Somebody's on the valve. It's a third. Yep, keep going. Yep, 2/3. Yep, it's full. Stop. Then you go dump it. So by adding extra water, we're creating what we call head pressure, which has a tendency to draw any that extra solids that haven't broken down away. So always add water before you dump it. If it's not full, fill it with water, dump it, close your gate valve, come back in here, put your toilet chemical and water, start the process all over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Cleaning the toilet. Since we're using this lovely fancy chemical, which is environmentally friendly, if we clean it with a bleach product, you're killing the bacteria that you're trying to establish in the tank. Process stops. So as a result, vinegar, water, or some type of environmentally friendly cleaner that won't harm the bacteria that's you're creating in that tank. Okay, so just be aware of that. When we go outside, we'll see where the hookup or the discharge pipe is, the water inlets and stuff as such. Any questions at this point on any of the plumbing?
No.
Good. Okay, we'll start off. We'll go move to appliances.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start off. Morgan.